In a modest town in rural America, a 12-year-old boy named Sajib faced challenges that no child should ever have to endure. His story is one of unimaginable responsibility, sacrifice, and sheer determination. Born to a young mother and a hard-working father, Sajib's life seemed set to follow a steady path, until tragedy struck. At just 12 years old, Sajib had already experienced more hardship than most adults. His father, a dedicated worker for a private company, had been the backbone of their small family. He had worked tirelessly to provide for them, and his efforts had paid off in the form of a small but comfortable 3-story home. Life had been good, and Sajib had been happy. However, when his father passed away suddenly at the age of 35, everything changed. The company gave his family a one-time payment of $2,000, but that amount quickly ran out. His father's passing left a void not just emotionally, but financially. Sajib's mother, who was only 27 years old at the time, found herself suddenly burdened with the responsibility of raising her 2 children on her own. With no relatives to turn to and no support from friends, she had no choice but to take matters into her own hands. The harsh reality. Sajib's mother, determined not to let her children go hungry, decided to find work. She started cleaning homes, picking up odd jobs where she could. Soon she was working in 3 different houses, trying to make enough to pay for the necessities, food bills, and school fees. Each day she would leave before sunrise, working tirelessly, and return home late at night, exhausted and drained. Even with 3 jobs, she earned only $120 per week. Bills piled up, and the money she earned barely covered the most basic needs. The $2,000 from the company had run out in less than a year, and her children's needs were only increasing. She had to be strategic about every penny she spent. As the months passed, Sajib's mother's determination never wavered. She continued to work relentlessly, all while trying to give her children a semblance of a normal life. However, the toll it was taking on her physical and emotional well-being was visible. Despite the financial strain, she made sure Sajib had the opportunity to continue his education. But even Sajib, as young as he was, could see the signs of exhaustion in his mother's face. Sajib's struggle. Sajib, for his part, was an incredibly responsible boy. Despite the harsh conditions at home, he continued to study. But it wasn't easy. Some nights, after working hard all day, he would go to bed hungry. There were days when he didn't have anything to eat at all. He would survive on just water, pushing through his exhaustion in order to finish his homework. There were days when he couldn't concentrate in school because of the hunger pangs, but he never gave up. His mother's hard work motivated him to push through the pain. He had to succeed for her. He could see how tired she was, but he didn't want to add to her burdens by complaining. One particular day, Sajib's condition was worse than usual. His body was weak, his mind clouded with hunger. He hadn't eaten for 2 full days. The dizziness was getting harder to ignore, and everything around him felt blurry. But he refused to give up. He continued to sit in class, even though he could barely keep his eyes open. The intervention. It wasn't until his teacher, Mr. Babul, noticed Sajib's condition that something finally changed. Mr. Babul had been teaching for many years, and he had a keen eye for noticing when a student was struggling. He could tell that something was wrong with Sajib. The boy was slumped in his seat, his eyes glassy, and his hands trembling as he tried to write. During class, Mr. Babul walked over to Sajib's desk. "Sajib, are you okay?" he asked gently. Sajib tried to smile, but his lips were dry, and his body felt as if it was about to collapse. "I'm fine, sir," Sajib said quietly, his voice weak and shaky. But Mr. Babul wasn't convinced. He knelt down beside Sajib and asked again, "Are you sure? You don't look well." At that moment, Sajib couldn't hold it in anymore. He looked up at Mr. Babul, his eyes filled with exhaustion and pain, and he whispered, "We haven't had food for 2 days, sir. I haven't eaten, nothing. Just water." The kindness of Mr. Babul. Mr. Babul immediately understood. He took Sajib by the arm and led him to the staff room. There, he gave the caretaker money and instructed him to go to the market to buy food. A few minutes later, the caretaker returned with a burger and a cold drink. Mr. Babul handed the food to Sajib. "Here, Sajib," Mr. Babul said softly. "Eat this. You need it." Sajib looked at the burger and drank with gratitude. It had been so long since he had eaten anything that he felt a wave of relief wash over him. As he took the first bite, the dizziness in his head started to fade. The food gave him a sense of clarity that he hadn't felt in days. Mr. Babul, seeing Sajib's condition improving, asked, "How are you feeling now? Do you feel better?" "Yes, sir," Sajib replied, his voice stronger now. "Thank you, sir." Mr. Babul smiled and patted him on the back. "Good. Now, go back to class and focus. I'll see you after school." A lifeline in the darkness. After school, Mr. Babul asked Sajib to wait for him. He then took Sajib to the market, where he bought essential groceries: rice, oil, flour, lentils, and vegetables. He told Sajib, "I'll take care of the food for you. You don't need to worry about it. Just focus on your studies." The following month, Mr. Babul continued his support, bringing food and groceries for Sajib's family every 10th of the month. He ensured they never went hungry again. When Sajib's mother found out, she was overwhelmed with gratitude. She had no words for Mr. Babul's kindness. He had not only provided for her children, but he had given her hope. As days turned into weeks, Sajib began to feel the weight of his mother's sacrifices less. Every month, Mr. Babul kept his word. The food supply continued, and Sajib no longer had to face the unbearable hunger that had been his constant companion. Yet, it wasn't just the physical hunger that changed, it was his entire outlook on life. He realized that with determination and hard work, even the most impossible situations could be overcome. But Sajib didn't just feel relief from the hunger. He felt a responsibility to repay the kindness that Mr. Babul had shown him. Sajib knew he had to focus on his education because his future was the only way he could repay his teacher for his selflessness. Sajib spent hours every day studying, working harder than ever before. Even when the exhaustion set in, and his body begged for rest, Sajib pushed forward. He understood that his mother's sacrifices weren't for nothing, they were for his future, and he had to make it count. A new beginning, scholarships and dreams. One day, after school, Sajib received an email that would change everything. His heart raced as he opened it. It was from a prestigious university in the city. The subject line read, "Congratulations! Scholarship awarded!" Sajib stared at the screen in disbelief. He had been accepted to the university, and they were offering him a full scholarship to pursue his degree. This was his big break, a chance to escape the cycle of poverty that had bound his family for years. The next day, Sajib shared the news with his mother and sister. Tears filled his mother's eyes as she embraced him. "Sajib, you've made us so proud," she whispered. "I knew one day this would happen." Sajib's sister, too, smiled proudly. "You're going to make it, Sajib. We've always believed in you." A ticket to a new life. A few weeks later, Sajib boarded a flight to the city. It was a dream he never thought would come true. As the plane ascended, he looked out the window, reflecting on the hardships he'd endured, the sacrifices his mother had made, and the kindness of Mr. Babul. His life had been forever changed, and he was filled with hope for the future. His new life in the city was a far cry from the small town he had left behind. The university provided him with accommodation, food, and all the necessary resources to excel in his studies. Sajib embraced the challenge with open arms, studying tirelessly. Despite the long hours and the academic pressure, he found a new sense of purpose in every lesson. He was no longer just a child trying to survive, he was now a young adult, shaping his own future. Success and gratitude, a full circle moment. Months passed, and Sajib's hard work began to pay off. He excelled in his studies, earning accolades and building a solid reputation at the university. But despite his success, he never forgot where he came from or the people who had helped him along the way. One day, While reflecting on how far he had come, Sajib realized that he had a deep sense of gratitude for Mr. Babul, the man who had given him food when he was hungry, and who had shown him kindness when he had none. Sajib knew he had to express his thanks. He had to find Mr. Babul and let him know how much his help had meant. A surprise return home. Sajib's success in university eventually led to a job offer in Pakistan, where an international company offered him a position with a salary of 4 lakh Pakistani rupees. This was the kind of opportunity that most people could only dream of, and here he was, just a few years after struggling to get by. Before leaving, Sajib went shopping for gifts for his mother and sister. He wanted to thank them for everything they had done for him, and for believing in him when no one else did. On the day of his departure, Sajib boarded his flight to Pakistan, knowing that his life was about to change once again. A meeting with Mr. Babul. After settling into his new job, Sajib couldn't shake the thought of Mr. Babul. The man who had helped him when he had nothing, the man who had given him hope when he had none. Sajib knew he had to find him. He searched for Mr. Babul's contact information and learned that he had retired from teaching a year earlier. He eventually tracked down his address and, with a bag of fruit and sweets in hand, made his way to Mr. Babul's home. What he found shocked him. Mr. Babul had become frail and weak, his body deteriorating from years of hard work and financial strain. Despite his physical condition, Mr. Babul's eyes still carried the warmth and wisdom that Sajib remembered from his school days. Sajib couldn't help but feel a deep sense of guilt and concern. This man, who had done so much for him, was now struggling. Sajib knew that he had to help, just as Mr. Babul had helped him. A promise to give back. Sajib immediately arranged for medical care and began sending daily supplies of food to Mr. Babul's home. He also helped Mr. Babul's children with their education, making sure they had the resources they needed to succeed. Sajib's mother, too, played a role in this. She took it upon herself to meet Mr. Babul's daughter, who was a university graduate. Seeing her potential, Sajib's mother invited her to marry Sajib, recognizing that this would be the perfect union, a way to honor both families and create a new beginning. Mr. Babul, overwhelmed with gratitude, agreed to the marriage. Sajib's mother, who had seen how much Mr. Babul had given to her son, saw this as an opportunity to give back to the man who had made such a difference in their lives.